Hello, thanks for tuning in. All right, I want to talk to you today about missions. What comes to mind when you think of missions? Have you been on a missions trip? Do you support missionaries? I want to tell you first, let's talk a little bit in scripture about missions. Sometimes they call it emissaries in scripture. So I'm going to be reading from 1 Corinthians. And Paul, Apostle Paul, wrote this letter to the church of Corinth. And 1 Corinthians was written during the third missionary journey of Paul around 55 CE. And he had planted a congregation in the city of Corinth on his second journey. And when Claudius expelled the Jews from Rome, many made their way to Corinth. Among the refugees were Aquila and Priscilla, who would become two of Paul's most trusted ministry associates. In addition to garnering support from many unknown Jews and non-Jews, Paul gained the trust of the head of the synagogue in Corinth, who had accepted Jesus. Although Paul loved the Jews and non-Jews who constituted the Corinthian community, he was called to Syria with Aquila and Priscilla. When Paul later heard about the trouble within the fledgling congregation he had loved and pioneered, he responded by writing this letter. So, we have read this on my channel before, but I want to skip to, for today, I want to go to 1 Corinthians 12:27. First of all, I grew up in the faith. I became a follower of Jesus when I was about 8 years old, 8 or 9. And to the best of my ability, I have studied his word. I've studied scripture. I have been in church my entire life. And I think I was probably maybe college, I don't know, when it dawned on me, like, wait a minute, Paul wrote to the churches? His letters were to the church people? I thought that the mission would be to those outside of the church. Oh, isn't that a revelation right there? No, it's important. Anyway, okay, so 1 Corinthians 12, verse 27. Now you together constitute the body of the Messiah, and individually you are parts of it. So one body, many parts, right? And God has placed in the Messianic community first, emissaries, second, prophets, third, teachers, then those who work miracles, then those with gifts of healing, those with ability to help, those skilled in administration, and those who speak in various tongues. Not all are emissaries, are they? Not all are prophets, are they? Or teachers, or miracle workers? Not all have gifts of healing. Not all speak in tongues. Not all interpret, do they? Eagerly seek the better gifts. But now I will show you the best way of all. And then he goes in to talk about love, right? Love. That's for another time. Today I want to focus on the concept of missions. Missionary, being a missionary. Some people just cannot get it out of their head that you're on mission to demonstrate the love of Christ every day, wherever you go. You're going to the grocery store, you're going to show the love of Christ. You're going to a football game, you're going to show the love of Christ to those around you. Now, I have to think, as I look back over my life, I know that the Lord, we all were told in Psalm 139, we are fearfully and wonderfully made. Jeremiah tells us, we learn in there that God knew us before we were born. So he made us a certain way. Now, I hope you believe that. It's foundational. It's foundational to your life. And I can only tell you about my life and how I know that I know uh, how God created me to think missionally. So go back, when I was a little girl, we didn't have internet. We didn't you had to go to the library and you get some book and it's like, this is what the people in Peru look like. This is what the people in Peru eat, or China, or wherever it was. And I might have shared before, but we used to have this big old atlas that was kept under our couch. And I can remember just looking through that atlas of the world and just dreaming of where I was going to go one day. And one time a missionary had come to our church, and this was in my adult life, and he said that he was used to do that too, just look at an atlas. And I thought, yeah, I really resonated with that. And then as I was a little girl growing up at Germantown First Church of God in Ohio, we used to have what was called a missions convention, and I loved it. It was so fun, and we would have it in the parking lot of our church, and each family would be assigned they could pick a country that they wanted to represent. So picture like a little, like little booths, and Bob's family had lived in the Philippines for a while because his dad was in the military. And so their family did a Filipino booth and told about the people of the Philippines and made food that would be lumpia and good things that they remembered having eaten, and shared their recipes. Other families would do China or Australia or wherever. And I just loved that time every year within our congregation because I was always fascinated with people from all over and culture. And I just loved that. So I wanted to end today with just that thought. Have you been on a missions trip? What do you think of when you hear the word missionary? It's actually defined an emissary, right? A person sent on a mission, or as a representative, often carrying messages or acting on behalf of a higher authority, like God or a king. This is a definition from Google. Or someone who's carrying out a mission. So I couldn't help but think of since Mission Impossible 8, I think, just came out, kind of made me think of that. And life has been in one adventure after another for me, as far as being able to experience many countries, many cultures, love on lots and lots of people because of that emissary calling on my life. And I'm going to stop there for today. Next time I'm going to pick up and we'll talk more about this topic. That's my gift for you today.